Billionaire Jeff Bezos launched his first commercial flight to the edge of space Tuesday. The trip on Blue Origin's New Shepard lasted about 10 minutes. Bezos was accompanied by 3 other people on the spacecraft, including his brother, as well as the world's youngest and oldest space voyagers. For more on this, I want to bring in former NASA astronaut Ron Garan. He is the author of a national bestseller entitled Floating in Darkness, A Journey of Evolution. Welcome, Ron. I'm so glad to have the chance to talk to you today. I have so many questions, but let me start with this. How significant is Blue Origin's launch of the New Shepard? What implications does this have for the future of space travel?
Well, I think it's a historic day. I think this is the second historic day we've had in about a week, with the first one being Virgin Galactic.
Yeah.
And I think these are the baby steps that are leading to the dawn of a new era of spaceflight, where hopefully space travel becomes as commonplace as air travel.
So you spent 6 months aboard the International Space Station when you were an astronaut for NASA. You and other astronauts had missions to conduct scientific research on board, but I wonder if you think there will be a time in the near future when we see extended periods of time in space for commercial trips.
I think we will. I think to some extent, we already are seeing that with SpaceX. But I think that's the natural progression. This is the natural evolution of the space program. And I think we're going to see not only people doing suborbital space tourist flights, we're going to see suborbital flights from point A to point B on the Earth that take a fraction of the time, and part of the flight is outside the atmosphere. We're going to see orbital flights. Eventually, we're going to see lunar flights for folks. And I think that we're going to establish a permanent human presence on the moon, and hopefully in a couple of decades we'll have thousands of people living on the moon.
I mean, when you say that, Ron, you say it almost matter-of-factly, but I mean, what goes through your mind as you contemplate this? Because understanding the rigorous training that you and NASA astronauts have had to go through is such a different experience than what these commercial space tourists are going to be experiencing.
Well, it's kind of reminiscent of the early days of aviation. Back when aviation first started, it was not commonplace for people to fly in an airplane. There was a select few with specialized training that had the opportunity to see the Earth from the air in an airplane. But now we don't think twice about getting on an airliner and flying anywhere in the world. And I think in the near future, that's what's going to happen with space travel. It's just a natural extension of the progress that we've seen to date. I would argue that a lot of people are surprised it hasn't happened already. We should be on Mars already. We should be having many people living on the moon by this point, but I think we're back on track. I think we're getting back on track.
So your book, Floating in Darkness, is a follow-up to the memoir you wrote about your time in space and how it changed your perspective on life. And I've heard astronauts describe what's known as the overview effect. But tell us, what impact did space travel have on your life, and how might it benefit the lives of others, you think?
Yeah, I think it has a profound impact on people. It certainly has had a profound impact on me. The first time I looked out of a window on a spacecraft, it was on Space Shuttle Discovery back in 2008, and I was filled with this incredible sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the opportunity to see the planet from that vantage point, and gratitude for the planet that we've all been given. And in a way I don't think I'll ever be able to fully explain, being physically detached from the Earth made me feel deeply interconnected and deeply interdependent with everyone on it. I saw the true unity of our world from that vantage point. And all those things that we fight about, we quarrel over, all those things that we think are so important, all those things that separate us kind of blur into insignificance when we see the planet from that perspective.
And so how do you think this could help others potentially?
I think the more people that see the planet from that perspective, the better off we're all going to be on planet Earth. I think people come back with a renewed sense of wanting to take care of the planet, wanting to take care of each other, of wanting to overturn social injustice, environmental injustice, and the list goes on. I think it can have a transformative effect if we allow it to. Obviously, different people are going to be affected in different ways, but the potential is there. And everybody I know that's been to space has come back with a greater commitment towards those things.
You know, I don't want to be a downer here, but I wonder if you foresee any potential kind of negative consequences of commercial space travel, because people have raised issues about access, for instance, at this early point in time, that it's only the very wealthy who are able to do this kind of space travel. Others have come back and said, well, this is the inception of the commercial space travel industry. And so the thought is, as this continues, the cost would come down. But, you know, do you yourself think of any potential challenges or things to kind of be on the lookout for as this industry develops?
Well, I mean, certainly there's those disparities are true. I think those comments come from a sense of frustration, over the huge gap between the haves and the have-nots, and not only the gap, but the exponential increase in that gap that we're seeing. And you know, that's a trajectory that could be very dangerous. But those people that you know, use that as a way to denounce what's going on right now as just like a vanity trip by billionaires in a space race is short-sighted. I mean, it's not inaccurate, but it's not complete. It's a lot more of a complicated situation that has the potential to have tremendous benefits for everybody. But there's also the aspect of environmental damage. I mean, we need to make sure that if we are having routine access to space, that it's done in an environmentally friendly way, that we're not destroying the planet in the process of sending environmentalists to space to appreciate our planet. So that would kind of be self-defeating.
All right, before we let you go, Ron, if you had a chance to get on one of these commercial space flights, would you do it?
I would. I would do it if I had a good reason to do it. I don't think I would take somebody else's seat, certainly to get another couple of minutes of weightlessness and another view of the planet. If I had some research to do, or if there was a real good risk-benefit trade-off that emerged, I certainly would. So thank you.
That's a very astronaut-like answer, Ron. Thinking about what scientific mission could you complete while up in space. All right, well, Ron Garan, former NASA astronaut, thanks so much, Ron, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Elaine, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.